Hi there. I have a thought for the day, and this thought comes from The Nature of the Psyche by Jane Roberts. And I'm reading from page 162. Seth is being channeled through Jane. And Seth says, pretend that you are a fine actor playing in a multidimensional theater so that each role you take attains a vitality far surpassing the creative powers of any ordinary play. Each of you is embarked upon such an endeavor. You lose yourself in your parts. You are also involved in a kind of creative dilemma, since, in a manner of speaking, you confuse yourself as the actor with the character you play so convincingly that you are fooled. You say, I must maintain my individuality after death, as if after the play, the actor playing Hamlet stayed in that role, refused to study other parts or to go on in his career, and said, I am Hamlet, forever bound to follow the dilemmas and challenges of my way. I insist upon maintaining my individuality. In the dream state, the actors become aware to some extent of the parts they play and sense the true personal identity that is behind the artist's craft. I've spoken of this before, but it's important to remember that you impose a certain kind of artificial sense of exaggerated continuity, even to the self you know. Your experience changes constantly, and so does the intimate context of your life. But you concentrate upon points of order in your terms that actually serve to scale down the context of your experience and make it more comprehensible. However, there are no such limits naturally set about your consciousness. You have a mass psychological environment that forms your worldly culture and corresponds to a worldly stage set in which experience then occurs. Certain psychological conventions act as props. There are then more or less formal psychological arrangements that are used as reference points or settings. You group your experience within those arrangements. They serve to shape mental events as you physically perceive them. So that last sentence there is important, for in your lifetimes, your experience must be physically felt and interpreted. Despite this, however, events spring from a non-physical source. As mentioned earlier, your recalled dreams are already interpretations of other non-physical events. Putting this as simply as possible, your actual experience is far too vast for you to physically follow. Your particular kind of consciousness is the result of specialized focus within a particular area. You imagine it to be absolute, and that it seems to involve an all-inclusive state that includes your identity as you think of it. Only you give it boundaries like it's a kingdom. It is instead a certain kind of organization. It's an organization that is indeed inviolate, even while it is itself a portion of other kinds of consciousnesses with their own points of focus. Your body itself is composed of self-aware organizations of consciousness that just escape your notice and deal with perceptual material utterly alien to your own ways. There are affiliations of a most sophisticated fashion that leap even the boundaries of the species. You look upon your cultural world with its art and manufacture, its cities, technologies, and the cultivated use of the intellectual mind. You count your religions, your sciences, your archaeologies, and triumphs over the environment. And it seems to you that no other consciousness has wrought what man has produced. Those products of your consciousness are indeed unique, creative, and they form a characteristic mosaic that has its own beauty and elegance. There are organizations of consciousness, however, that leapfrog the species, that produce no arts or sciences per se, yet together these form the living body of the earth and the physical creatures thereon. Their products are the seas upon which you sail your ships, the skies through which your airplanes fly, the land upon which your cities sprawl, and the very reality that makes your culture or any culture possible. Man is a part of that trans-species consciousness also, as are the plants and the animals. Also, part of man's reality contributes to that trans-species organization, but he has not chosen to focus his practical daily consciousness in that direction or to identify his individuality with it. As a result, he does not understand the greater natural mobility he himself possesses, nor can he practically perceive the natural psychological gestalts of which he is a part. The form, that form, all of your natural, meaning physical, world. In dreams, this relationship is often revealed. The truth behind such relationships is inherent in all God-man, God-woman, animal man, or animal woman legends and mythology. There are connections then between man and the animals and the so-called gods, in small letters, gods, that hint at psychological and natural realities. Any section of the land has an identity, and I'm not talking symbolically. Such identities represent the combined organizations of consciousness of land, man, and animal within any given realm. Simply put, there are as many kinds of consciousnesses as there are particles, and these are combined in infinite fashion. In the dream state, some of that experience, otherwise close to you, forms the background of the dream drama. Your consciousness is not one thing like a flashlight that you possess. It is instead a literally endless conglomeration of points of consciousness, swarming together to form your validity, stamped, as it were, with your identity. Whether dispersed, concentrated in a tight grouping, appearing alone, or flying through other larger swarms, that particular organization represents your identity. Using an analogy, its particles, quote unquote particles, could be dispersed throughout the universe with galaxies in between, yet the identity would be retained. So unknowingly now, portions of your consciousness mix and merge with those of other species without jarring your own sense of individuality one whit, yet forming other psychological realities upon which you do not concentrate. In the dream state, animals, men, and plants merge their realities to some extent so that information belonging to one species is transferred to others in an inner communication and perception otherwise unknown in your world. So as you go through the day, think about, I've mentioned it before, how vast you are. Think about what you are part of. That includes the land, the water, the air, the sun, the other planets, the galaxy. You are part of everything. Psychologically, it's part of you, and you affect that. in very powerful ways. So be in your power as you go through the day and create wisely and well, acknowledging all that you are, and make a great day.